Gino Kenny, who has 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. And I've shared in time with Deputy Barry. Yeah, Minister, my main question centres around the rescheduling of the Leaving Cert, and as we all understand, that decision will probably will be taken in early June. And obviously, that's 5 weeks away, and there's a huge amount of uncertainty around this issue, around a huge amount of kind of clarity, and a huge amount of anxiety in all parties: teachers, parents, and students. Obviously, the general trend across Europe is quite mixed. Just kind of particular countries in Britain, they've cancelled all exams this year completely. In France, they've cancelled all exams. In Holland, they've done the same. Some other countries are kind of waiting to see the best medical advice and so forth. So, you know, I think that should be taken in kind of cognizance over the while. It's our view in P4 Profit that the Leaving Cert should be cancelled, and it should be and students should be admitted to college following a certification scheme where grades will be allocated based on their work throughout the year. And any student that wants to, obviously, that's not satisfied with their results, should be allowed to sit the exam. And obviously, the current situation, Minister, is quite disadvantageous to students in a privileged background because of access to laptops, Wi-Fi, and also educational space, because most students now are in the situation at home and so forth. So that is a key factor. So my main question, Minister, is if the situation on June the 1st is the same, the recommendations in relation to public health about gatherings of any kind of sense and anywhere, is it your intention to cancel the Leaving Cert and give clarity on this issue?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll leave the Minister plenty of time to answer that question. Minister, you said earlier on in the debate that there has been a collaborative approach, but you also said that there has been a consensus in the House on the issue of the Leaving Cert. That is not correct. There is no consensus in this House on the issue of the Leaving Cert. Solidarity, along with People Before Profit, does not agree with your position on the Leaving Cert. We think that the Leaving Cert should be cancelled. And I'm going to give you 10 reasons why the Leaving Cert this year should be cancelled. First of all, the students haven't had classes in their schools for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. What kind of preparation is that? Second of all, many students are in homes with no devices. Others are in homes with a shortage of devices. Reason number 3, how many students trying to prep away from their school are in areas that do not have broadband or do not have good quality broadband? Reason number 4, students have been denied access to their schools, denied access to their libraries, have been forced to study at home. Many of those homes are overcrowded. Some of them are seriously overcrowded. Leave aside the young people in direct provision. Leave aside the young travellers. Leave aside the young people who are homeless. There are many others in overcrowded conditions as well. Reason number 5, students prepared for an exam with an idea of where the finishing line would be. It's being extended, not by a couple of days, not by a couple of weeks, but the best part of 2 months. Anxiety, and anxiety in the exam hall. The exam halls will not be empty, they will not be nearly empty. You'll make them as safe, and the teachers will make them as safe as you possibly can. They may even be as safe as could possibly be. But a student who's anxious, who goes in, sitting on a desk, sitting on a chair at a desk with a paper in front of them, will feel anxiety. Many of them will feel anxiety about the COVID situation, even in the exam hall, irrespective of how safe you make it with social distancing. How many children will be sitting this exam, reason number 8, who are themselves children in homes that have the extra stress of a parent or parents being frontline workers. Reason number 9, how many students will be studying the exams who will have gone through the trauma of a family member having been hospitalised from COVID in the run-up to the exams? And how many young people will be sitting the exams with a member of their family having died as a result of the disease in the run-up to the exams? And all of this runs up to reason number 10, which is the key overarching reason. It's the question of mental health. The reports that I'm getting back, and from what I'm picking up from this debate, what lots of other deputies are getting back as well, is that students are telling us, and teachers are telling us, that stress levels aren't just increasing a little bit here, they are in many cases going through the roof. And you said, Minister, and I quote you, in the debate earlier on, that the health and the well-being of students will be at the heart of any decision I make. I don't see how you can say that when the big majority of students are in favour of the cancellation of this Leaving Cert. That's the evidence that we see all around us. I mean, I'm sure in most years there's some students who would say, yeah, I'll put my hand up, cancel the Leaving Cert. But it's not that few this time around. It's a big majority, including many, many of the most conscientious students who see the mental health pressure on their friends. And I just don't see how, Minister, you can give me or anyone else for that matter any kind of real guarantee that the mental health pressures that this is putting on young people will not have very serious consequences. I don't see how that guarantee can be given, and we shouldn't take risk with things like this. Since I've come into this House, I've heard many speeches about the importance of mental health, about the importance of mental health for young people. I'll be honest with you, I think it's pious hypocrisy, Minister, if you drive on regardless with this Leaving Cert. Now, I'm asked the question back, well, what's your alternative? And oftentimes that is a good question, but it's not always, the kingpin question. Sometimes something is so much of a mistake in and of itself that you don't need to fully answer that question. But where there's a will, there's a way. We can learn from other countries. We can give every student the Leaving Cert, and we can increase state investment in such a way that there is a place in third level next year for every student who would want it, and find various mechanisms by which you would allocate it as to whether it would be the student's first preference, second preference, or perhaps the third preference. The final point that I would make, this is also about respect at this stage. The greatest way that, yes, I understand, the greatest way in which you can disrespect any person is by forcing them to do something which they really, really do not want to do. And I think that that is what you're doing with the majority of the students who are facing in to the Leaving Cert in the period ahead. So my question is, will you cancel the exam?
Thank you, Deputy. Minister, there's only 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Okay.
For reply to 2 questions.
The plan that we're working on at the moment is to have the Leaving Cert this year. It's been postponed. I do take the points in relation to the pressure and the anxiety. And that's why I did say earlier on that central to any decision will be the health and mental health and well-being of every single of those 61,000 young people in this year's Leaving Cert. And that's why we're putting the support systems in place. However, there is international evidence of different countries doing different things, and we're monitoring that, and we're looking at the different practices. And central to every single decision that we've made since the pandemic became a massive issue is ensuring that we will be guided by public health officials. And I am informing myself, and whether that's direct contact with Tony Holohan, whether that's direct contact with any other health expert, including, as recent of today, Dr. Mike Ryan from the World Health Organization, I had a 15-minute conversation with them, because I am taking this seriously, because I am getting the same emails as you are in terms of the pressure that young people are under, but I'm also getting the emails and the messages from young people who are studying hard, getting the online courses, who are using technology, and teachers being innovative and staying in touch with their students. And this is different. And I don't have time to go through every your point. I don't think it'd be fair on you to say that to negate every single one of your point. But just taking your first point, you're saying because Leaving Certs have lost out in a number of weeks of teaching, of classroom teaching, we should cancel the Leaving Cert. But that same argument could be made for the 2021 class, because they're losing out on class time as well. So these are the scenarios we're working with, but central to any decision, absolutely central to any decision, will be the health and well-being of these students, and we will work now with the advisory group, Deputy, and it's the advisory group who has to look at the practicalities, look at the health advice, and look to see, can this work? And that's what we'll work through over the next couple of weeks.
Minister, can you convey a reply to Deputy Gino Kenny as well, maybe by written reply?
Yeah, I brought it in terms of the anxiety, Deputy Kenny, and you also raised the issue of cancellation in some countries, and you mentioned France and you mentioned Great Britain. We're also looking at examples where they're going ahead with exams, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in South Korea. So we are looking at international evidence. We're not in the same position as Britain, for example, in terms of the way they deal with their GCSEs and their A-levels. They do it over a longer period, and that's also providing difficulties for them from my contact with some of my colleagues across the way. But look, the announcement in a couple of days' time in terms of the supports we have to wrap around this issue in terms of anxiety and pressure and stress, we will be announcing that in a couple of days' time, and I would encourage every single young person who feels under pressure that the help is there and to reach out, and there's somebody at the other end of the line.
Thank you, Minister.